Hi guys, Wounded Whales here giving you another Guild Wars 2 video. Today, I'm going to be discussing with you why I'm excited for the next expansion in the Guild Wars 2 franchise, Path of Fire. But a short disclaimer, I'm going to be discussing some possible spoilers for the game, not official spoilers, but what could possibly be discussed in the game or what could have been revealed. So if you're not caught up with the Living World story by now, please click off this video and come back again once you are caught up. And let's get right into it. First thing I want to discuss that I'm excited for are the mounts. Unlike in Guild Wars 1 and 2, mounts have never been used before. They're typically used in other MMORPGs like World of Warcraft, EverQuest 2, Rift, and all those other games. Typically, mounts are used for transport, but in the Guild Wars franchise, you normally have waypoints which cost a small fee to use, but they will transport you to as close to whatever location you want to go, and it's always a short walking distance in between the waypoint from waypoint to waypoint, just because those mounts are, or not mounts, those waypoints are always not far from each other, and the maps for the base game and even Heart of Thorns were an average size map. They weren't as large as the ones that we are going to be expecting in Path of Fire. In fact, the mounts aren't just offering speed buffs, they are almost a necessity in order to traverse the Elona maps. Things like the Raptor, the Springer, the Scrimmer, and the Jackal, the four revealed mounts, are going to be used to help us clear certain areas of the map. Like the instance, a Raptor is helping you of leaping large distances. So like say if you got large cliffs that are hard to use your glider with, those types of mounts can let you leap across those cliffs easily. The Skimmer will help you travel across bodies of water. The Springer is capable of jumping high, so you're able to jump high, like probably cliffs that are going straight up. Well, not cliffs, but like mountain ledges. The Jackal is kind of something interesting. It's I think more of a combat-based mount, probably for killing off specific types of enemies within a certain area of the map. It doesn't say. I mean, it's teleporting abilities lets you travel shorter distance quite easily, but its specs show that it's a little bit more combat orientated. I personally think the mounts are a good idea, especially since Path of Fire is going to have not so many waypoints. It's going to be just one large map, as you saw in the demo. It's just one big map, and you're going to need these mounts to traverse them quite easily. I personally think I'm kind of excited for them. I like to see how ArenaNet's going to where they're going to take these mounts. I mean, obviously you're not going to be buying them from the gem store, so they're available in campaign. But I'm kind of interested, like, are they going to be all the same mounts, or are they going to have skins like almost every other thing in this game has skins? Will you be able to deck out your, like say, one of your mounts, like your Skimmer, your Springer, make them, unique compared to the other guy that has the same mount? It's just something that has potential to grow. And with that being said, I'd like to get into the second thing I'm excited for, is the elite specs. Heart of Thorns revealed the first set of elite specs. All 9 classes got them. They were able to wield new weapons and new skills, and they each got a new combat style. For instance, a ranger went from DPS to being a healer class with the druid spec, and then I want to say a guardian went from being a support to a DPS user as the dragon hunter because of his traps and his being able to wield the longbow. But with Path of Fire, you got other classes, elite specs, that change up how these guys are played. Like, for instance, the warrior's now a DPS. He's the anti-everything as the spellbreaker. His full counter allows him to counter an attack and deal a lot of damage to dazed and cancelled foes, or foes with cancelled abilities. And it's just, a lot of them have been changed up. I will say that Heart of Thorns, I liked some of the specs, like the Druid, the Dragon Hunter, and maybe the Daredevil. I found them that their playstyles were unique, but in all 9 of them, it was hard to really get into them because I'm more of a person that likes the story aspect, and some of them just didn't make sense why they were that way. And not only that, their playstyle was more complex for that profession. But with the ones in Path of Fire, only a few of them are maybe complex, like the Renegade for the Revenant, and I haven't played any of the other ones. I've only played the Renegade and the Spellbreaker, but from what I saw from other YouTubers, like the Firebrand, the Hollowsmith, the Soul Beast, the Reaver, the Deadeye, the Scourge, and the Mirage, they all look like they're really good classes, especially the Deadeye. The Deadeye I could see in maybe being almost a meta in PvP. Same with the Spellbreaker, because they just are pretty good at dealing a lot of damage. The thing I'm excited for is the fact that some of these classes come from the Elona region, and they kind of have a lore and background to them. For instance, the Spell Reaver or the Spellbreaker had to probably develop anti-magic means to counteract the undead armies of I can't pronounce his name, but I'll discuss this guy later in the video. But it's just interesting to know why these guys are the way they are, not just to speculate. But my favorite classes so far out of all of these, and I think a lot of people are going to be playing, is probably the Spellbreaker, the Soul Beast, and maybe the Deadeye. I'm actually more excited to play the Firebrand just because I main Guardian with everything, almost. And being able to wield axes and tomes, and just like a different play style. The Firebrand is going to be wielding tomes, and it replaces your virtues and mantras. So it's going to be more of an exact support role, not just I'm a tank and I can heal, but I can probably do like certain buffs. It's almost like the Paragon aspect. If you ever played the original Guild Wars, the expansion Nightfall released the Paragon, which had similar aspects, being able to pull support items like shout and buffs that increased damage, increased health, increased defenses. And to see that possibly with the Firebrand would be very exciting. And with that, I'd like to end the discussion with the elite specs and move on to the third item I'm excited for in Path of Fire, and that is the story. Like I said before, I am a original Guild Wars 2 player. A Guild Wars player. I'm just so used to saying Guild Wars 2. The story for Nightfall was my favorite. I originally purchased Factions as my starting campaign for Guild Wars, and I wasn't as interested in the game when I started playing it. But then I purchased Nightfall, and I was immersed in the game. I found the Sun Spears, the map to be amazing, the Sun Spears to be amazing, the map to be amazing. The profession I fell in love with was the Paragon. It was just an exciting game and something I enjoyed playing. I actually got back into Factions. I got into all the story. Nightfall was the thing that got me really addicted to the game. And being able to go back to it in Path of Fire is just amazing, because you get to on a lore aspect, you get to find out what happened to the Elolan people, because this is the guy I was talking about earlier, Palawa Joko, the undead.
Are you expecting trouble?
Don't pay attention to that. The undead king. His armies conquered Elona after you released him in Guild Wars 1. The lore, according to some books you find in Guild Wars 2, the base game, is that he dams up the river and he's conquered most of Elona. But doing the demo, you don't really see that much. But what I'm interested in is, if he's in the game, is he going to be a antagonist you fight later? Now, I know we're fighting Balthazar, but I kind of wonder, maybe he's a secondary, not Balthazar, but Palawa Joko is maybe a secondary villain you fight. Maybe you have to fight him in order to get to Balthazar. Maybe in order to get to a location where Balthazar is for a certain battle, you have to fight Palawa Joko. It's just interesting to see, like, closure, like that nostalgia feeling, like, oh yeah, he's a familiar character from an original Guild Wars game. Maybe we get to wrap up that kind of, not necessarily a cliffhanger, but that I want to say Easter egg or something like that. Just that's exciting. And another thing about the story that I'm really excited for is it's a change up from what the original formula is so far in the base game and the Heart of Thorns expansion. You killed a dragon and that was it. I kind of like that. Now we're changing it up. We're fighting Balthazar, god of war for the humans, and even then, the lore itself right there, it's exciting to think, okay, why is he wanting to kill the dragons? Did something happen to the original gods involving the dragons? I mean, we don't get that much information even in the living story. In fact, during the reveal of what the Mursat, because he was disguised as Mursat, and that reveal was shocking to most players, and it's just kind of interesting because we don't know why he wants revenge. My theory is because most of these gods are probably magic-based. Like with any magic-based being, these guys are being consumed by the dragons, because the dragons themselves consume magic. In order to, it's kind of another thing I'll get into in a different video if I decide to do a theory on this. But what I'm saying is, I think maybe some of the gods probably got devoured by the dragons, and Balthazar managed to survive somehow, and he's seeking revenge. We only see that he had a mesmer mirror to disguise himself as a Mursat, so I'm thinking, forgot the god of illusions. It's the god that mesmers worship. I think it's, I don't want to say, no, Devona's the god of healing, I think. It's just something I'm not too up on knowledge with what gods are. I just been recently researching Balthazar, That's why I'm kind of coming up with this theory. But it's interesting to think just why his motives and how you're going to stop him is another thing I'm interested in finding out. You're going to be killing a god potentially, that or some sort of cliffhanger. It's just, I don't know, fighting Balthazar, because I think we've seen all the gods and factions and even Nightfall. It's just an interesting Easter egg. And I guess we're going to have to wait and find out when Path of Fire gets released. So with that, I'm going to close out the video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please be sure to hit that like button and the subscribe button for my channel for future updates. Be sure to follow me on social media. My link's in the description below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.